Greetings MechWarriors, this is Blackhawk SC, and in this video I'll be looking at the Atlas Kraken. Specifically, I'll be using the chassis to illustrate a major peeve I've had with PGI's mech design, which is clearly demonstrated by this Atlas variant. I'd like to give a big thanks to the viewer who donated Solaris 7 mech pack to make this video possible. Now, PGI messing up a mech design is nothing new. Most are minor and makes a mediocre chassis more mediocre. But some cases make it so obvious that they haven't thought through how to make a mech interesting to play. The first case that I talked about on my channel is on the Cyclops CP10Z, and I'll link the video in the description below. The Cyclops 10Z, after the introduction of LFEs and new Civil War weapons, have gotten some better options. But at the time of the release, it was pretty frustrating to build for because I saw its potential to be much better, even with one change to its hardpoints. In the case of the Cyclops, at least PGI had the excuse that they needed to start with the hardpoints of a cannon variant. In the case of the Kraken, this is a completely new PGI design, and they have no obligations to any previous material on how many and what kind of hardpoints the mech gets. So what's wrong with the Kraken? If this is the only Atlas you have, you won't see the problem. Instead, you have to look at it in the context of the 6 other Atlas variants in the game, and I do own the rest of the variants. The Atlas is perhaps the defining battle mech in Battletech, but in the current state of MWO, it's one of the most boring assaults to play and build for. In terms of performance, the chassis overall is pretty average, capable of good games but getting its face wrecked the next. And that's mostly due to its low hardpoints and sluggishness. It also doesn't have build variety because every single variant is some sort of armed lasers, right torso ballistics, and left torso missiles. You don't have to own all 6 variants to start knowing that it's hard to make different builds for the Atlas. By the time you have a 3rd or 4th variant, it's already a struggle to do something new. It has been in this state for nearly a year before the Solaris 7 pack came out, and so PGI could have done something with the Kraken to give the Atlas new life. They didn't have to make it super strong, but maybe address its build variety issues at least. Well, even that didn't happen. I can see how they took the D model and replaced the right torso and arm with the RS, and now you've got yourself a new variant. They didn't really spend much time on the pattern either, and you can tell. All of the S7 mechs are like this, but the Atlas really should have deserved more attention, because as I said, it is the Atlas. Let's look at some build possibilities in the mech lab. First is Gauss and lasers, and I run this sort of build on the RS. Not that great due to how much you have to expose to get out the full alpha. MRMs and ballistics is another option. I have this on the DDC and I demoed that build on my MRM focus video, which I will link below. For brawling, you can do some sort of AC-20 SRM and MPLs. A little worse off than the S variant, I think, because of the lower sustained DPS and extra phase time due to the MPLs. If you prefer the armor quirks of the Kraken over the S's structure quirks, then the brawl build could also be duplicated on the RS and D C-build variants with one less MPL. It really doesn't have enough hardpoints to do energy building well, but in any case, the Boar's Head would be better. So for me, I ended up with this pulse laser and heavy Gauss build, even though I already have something like this on the K. But given that I can't come up with anything new, I'm gonna go with this because even with all the armor quirks, the Atlas still isn't very tanky, and this build gives me both the brawl and skirmishing option, when I can't afford to push a strong enemy position. But now, let's look at what happens when you can make just one hardpoint change. Imagine that you can swap the right arm energy for a ballistic. Now you can do double Gauss and lasers, double UAC 10s, and you can do a 10 and 5 without giving up an LFE. Now swap a left torso missile with a ballistic and you got double heavy Gauss. Going in a different direction, what if you switch the right torso ballistic with a missile hardpoint? Then triple MRM 30 or better is possible with supplemental lasers without the need to give up an LFE. Maybe a triple LRM 20 build? I know some of you guys will hate it, but it's a legit solo queue option right now, as I said in another video. What about replacing the ballistic with one energy? Now you can get most of your alpha damage out just by exposing half your mech, so perhaps 2 heavy PPCs here, and 2 large lasers all right stacked. Let's do a slightly bigger adjustment, like swapping the hardpoint locations on the left torso missiles and left arm energy. No change in the hardpoint count, just the hardpoint locations. Now this is a much better Gauss laser build, capable of peeking with much less exposure and using the left arm as a shield. Replacing 2 of either the missile or energy hardpoints and replacing them with ballistics will give you double UAC 10s and a 5. Just look at all we can do without extra hardpoint inflation. Simply moving around hardpoints and replacing hardpoint types with a different kind results in no less than 9 builds that I couldn't do or did worse before. None of these would be game-breaking OP builds as they're still held back by the chassis' weaknesses, so there's no reason to not allow it. So it should be clear why this variant has been disappointing to me at least. It represents so much lost potential on a mech that I think many people wanted to see succeed. Before going into the match, I just want to show you the skill tree that I use. Mostly I focus on durability and I get all the torso twist speed nodes, and then I put the rest in firepower and cooling. Alright, let's get into a match. On this match on Rubelite, at the beginning we were simply trying to stay low and try to not get shot by long range fire and get into positions where you can get just closer to the enemy. And here we see this Griffin just standing there. I don't know why he was there. Maybe he was disconnected from before and maybe he just rejoined. I don't know why, but he's taking some first shots at that Griffin. He has some support on with that Thunderbolt, but he decided to not move towards the Thunderbolt and face me instead for some reason. I don't really understand the decision, but maybe it's because there are two other friendly mechs behind me. And he was afraid of getting shot in the back from those guys, so he pays the price there. The Thunderbolt decides to run away now. As I mentioned, the Heavy Gauss, it has more than triple. It does damage to more than triple optimal range, so like a shot at 350 or to 400 is worth taking as well. The Thunderbolt's trying to run away. We have a pretty good lead at the beginning now, 3-0. It's not the end. So we're heading towards that blob of enemies at Delta 5, Echo 6. Trying to get closer. Most of them are up top, I think, but there's some at the bottom that we can shoot at. Now, there's that Arctic Cheetah that was kind of behind me before. He dropped down and he paid the price. So the convergence between the arm and torso lasers is kind of bad. So sometimes I have to arm lock in cases where I don't anticipate the need to torso twist. So, for example, like on the Warhammer, if I'm shooting the Warhammer, I want to be able to twist quickly if he looks at me. But if I'm shooting the Cheetah, I don't anticipate him doing much damage to me, so I want more accuracy. In that case, I would just arm lock. So we finish off that Warhammer. Got ganked by like four friendly mechs. So we have two lights on one of our mechs right now, and there's some enemy mechs coming from behind. So see that Gauss shot hit the ground. Even though I was exposed, I had a lot of mech exposed. Still hit the ground, so that that torso hardpoint is still pretty low. If you notice that Marauder gave me his right torso for some reason, even though his left torso was already destroyed. I don't know why he did that, but led to his death. Always feels good to heavy Gauss a light mech. And that is the end of the match. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Atlas Kraken and that you've learned something about some of the problems in PGI's mech designs. And just to let you know, I'll be on break for a little while, but I'll be back with more content afterwards, so make sure to subscribe for more mech reviews like this. And I'll see you next time.